Good evening. I am your host, Shameika Rhymes, and welcome to Soulibration, or should I say welcome back because I was gone for a little bit, but I'm back, y'all. Let me know where you are watching from and how you're doing because I have missed you guys. Remember to share this with your network, and if you have any questions at all during the show, drop it in the chat because after all, you guys are the co-hosts. So I'm excited about tonight's show because this is a topic I have heard a lot about and experienced. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So, are credit cards ruining your life, or it feels like you're just drowning in credit card bills? With rising layoffs, stagnant wages, and the high cost of living, more people are relying on plastic to make ends meet. So, tonight, I do have a financial planner here tonight to walk us through credit card debt, breaking the cycle of reliance on those cards, and creating a realistic budget that you can actually stick to while saving some money. So, whether you're feeling overwhelmed or you just want to take control of your money, we're going to give you all the tools you need tonight. Now, let me see who's in the chat. Welcome, Asheville. I see you. Welcome, Gastonia. Let me introduce you to tonight's guest, Nadia C. Vanderhall. She's a financial planner, educator, and the founder of the Brands and Bands Strategy Group. It's a financial planning and education company helping overlooked communities build financial confidence. And you probably have seen her on Good Morning America and some other places as well. So let's welcome Nadia.
Hello. I
Hi,
tried.
Nadia. Welcome to Celebration.
Good morning, America. But yeah, well, thank you for having me.
So, like I was mentioning, a lot of us have credit cards. We end up in this awful cycle, right? And I can remember, and y'all in the chat, let me know if you've ever experienced this. First time I got a credit card, walking through our student center on campus at college,
Hmm.
and they're standing there like, "You get a free T-shirt if you get this credit card," and they got me.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so why are so many people relying on credit cards to get by, especially now in this economy?
See, comparison to back then when we used to get it for just for the sake of getting it, or to get a free pizza, or to get a free or whatever. Now it's filling a void that a lot of consumers and people like me, you, me, heck, I've done it,
Mhm.
fill that void because we have inflation and we have interest rates tag teaming our budgets. The cost of living is more than the cost to live, and a lot of people are not being able to find extra money and utilizing credit cards to fill that void. And it's fine then, but when everything starts adding up and compounding, then it becomes a little bit of a tussle for people to either pay that back or to see this new bill that helped me pay bills is actually compounding and making things worse than what I initially thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Mhm.
I do see Lynette McCallum. I see you in the chat. She says, "Yep," and getting a gas card did that one too.
Yes, yes. The gas cards were like very popular during the pandemic. And I mean, I understand,
Hmm.
especially if you're able to do like credit cycling. I have a blog post talking about utilizing points and paying and using your credit card. And that is a thing that I just thought about. You've been seeing a lot of people talking about on social media using your credit card to pay your whole budget or for expense your life, and then you pay it back. But a lot of people don't have the data to understand what it looks like, and they
Yeah.
don't have the discipline to actually pay it back at that time. You're getting points, but it's becoming a pain for your budget.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it just reminded me. I used to work with someone way back in the day, and
Uh,
I had never heard of somebody doing that, using a credit card. She would pay her rent and all her
mhm,
utilities every
mhm.
single month with a credit card, then pay it off. And I was like, "Girl, how? We don't make no money." But she was working that thing out, so that's what she was doing, living in Uptown Charlotte, which we all know is very expensive. Well, those of you that may not live in Charlotte, but it is very expensive. Um, yeah, so I've never heard of that. Let's talk about that for a second. How? How do people do this?
How they do it is that you're supposed to look to see how much your life costs, what bills are, and then looking to see, are you covering that fully every month? If you
Mhm.
are and you having a little bit of a surplus, then you can start with going and adding your, let's just say, your Crunch Fitness to auto pay, or your on your card or anything of that nature. And I hate to say this, that even Wells Fargo, I believe, had a card called Built, BILT. I think they let go of each other though, where you used to be able to put your whole rent on there, get points, and then it will pay your rent, though it had a service fee. But the whole appeal to it is that, yeah, I'm getting points to travel and all that. But if you do understand your data of what you're doing month to month, what it fits within your expenses, and then what the credit card APR will be, how your credit card statement looks, that could be good if it works, but it can be bad if it does not. And it can compound because I see a lot of people, oh, it didn't work for me because dot, dot, dot. They didn't go and look at the data. They didn't determine what the path could be. Even if you're not able to do your overall expenses, maybe you can do like your credit, your title, something streaming or anything like that that's small, and then build up. That's usually what I tell people to do initially, is to find a small bill and then, okay, I'm getting used to it. I'm doing that on time. I'm paying this early, and then you can funnel it up. But some people just go all the way in, but not figuring out the logistics of it, and it actually ends up burning them out as well as their credit card. It
Okay.
works and it can work, but it can hurt if it does not.
So I want to double back on something else you just said, because I'm not sure if people understand that whole APR thing. Can you explain that? Break that down for us, because I did not understand it. Well, of course, when I was a college student,
I'm
what
glad.
that mean?
So right now, you've probably been hearing Jerome and the Federal Reserve doing a federal interest rate cut, which is having to go into your prime rate, which deals with the APR that goes to your mortgage, that goes to your credit cards or any loans like that. The APR is the annual percentage rate, which is the rate that you're paying to borrow that money. But if you're on the savings side, you're probably hearing APY, which is the annual percentage yield, meaning how much money you pay to save. So APR, meaning how much you're paying to go far, mean to borrow. APY is meaning how much you're going to defy and get paid back as you save. So the thing that we've been noticing right now is the APRs have been becoming a little interesting, even for store cards. Store cards used to be like 25% APR. Now I'm seeing 35, 45, 50. I'm like, what is going on? It's
Wow.
because when the Federal Reserve cuts the interest rate, the company that is issuing you that loan, that is issuing you that credit card, issuing you whatever, they can actually say, you know what? They're going to get a little ease, but let's ease up or change up how that APR is calculated. And I'm seeing a lot of people getting that burnt end of the stick when it comes to that. But also I'm seeing people complain that their APY on high yield savings accounts is not being as high as it used to be during the pandemic.
Okay. I want to
APR
remind everybody. Go
is
ahead.
what you paid to borrow. The APR is what you're paying. You're paying the piper. You're paying. This is how much you're going to be paying per this percentage, decline on what you're borrowing, and then it's actually compounded some daily. So be very mindful of how often
Wow.
it's compounded.
Thank you for that. And I want to remind everybody in the chat, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. We'll get to you. So let's talk a little bit about what impact have layoffs and these, wages aren't increasing, but the cost of living keeps going up. So what impact has all that had on an average person's credit card use?
The average credit card use has gone up for multiple reasons, but especially if they are people that are finding that, hey, my bills are going up, my utilities are going up, and I'm only budgeting this amount because this is how much my paycheck says. A paycheck is usually the pace of what you can do per month, pretty much. But whenever you're noticing that the pace of what you're used to doing is getting reconstruing by the cost of things going up, you're going to have to try to find a way to keep that whole circle going. And a lot of people are using credit cards, are using personal loans, are using things regardless if they're gainfully employed or painfully unemployed. Because as someone who has been painfully unemployed in the past, you're not able to save enough in your emergency fund, your unemployment doesn't cover but so much, and your severance is stuck. You're going to have to find that void. And that's what a lot of people have been doing, is utilizing personal loans and credit cards to fill the void of whatever they were thinking that their expenses would be. Is becoming one thing. And then you're noticing that the raise that you usually get every year is not the same.
Right.
And it's like a whole, not the perfect storm, but an organized chaos that we're seeing in the economy.
That makes sense. Well, how can someone recognize when that credit card usage is becoming a problem? Because it's going to shift from this is convenient to, Uh-oh, now I gotta dig myself out of this hole.
A way to understand what's going on is that if you're not able to, I'm not even gonna say, I'm not even gonna say, oh, pay it off every month. I'm not gonna say that because that's usually what other people would say, and I'm not other people that talk money. What I'm gonna say is that if you're missing payments, if you having to notice that the what you used to put on your card every month and pay off, that you're not able to do that as much, as well as you're seeing your utilization, meaning how much of the big pie of what they gave you are they utilizing. If you're noticing on the month to month that you usually do
Mhm.
what 5%, 10%, but now you're noticing it jump to 35 or even more because things are going up in the stores. That if you're noticing that the trend or the forecast, when I tell people about forecasting in their budgets and how they're using products like bank cards or credit cards, is that if you are seeing your forecast of how much you usually spend, don't base upon what I feel I do or what I'm feeling I'm due, but on the facts of what's going on with your bank statements as well as your credit card statements. So if you're
Mhm.
noticing that you're missing payments, that you're spending a little bit more than you usually do, that you're not able to keep up with what the APR is and how it's calculating, and just finding yourself having to use it more often than usual, that's when you're noticing that you're probably in a danger zone. America, girl, you in danger, and you might got to pull it back. So it's
Yeah.
sometimes you might have to say, I'm only utilizing this, but what are you doing under the hood? And that's what you need to do every so often is look what you're currently doing. What are you comparison to your historical data, meaning what you did in the past, and
Mhm.
saying, hey, this is not passing. The vibe is not vibing. The math is not mathing. If you're noticing that, you might need to pull it back when it comes to your credit cards.
Okay. I see some comments about the late fees and the APR is what hurts. And
What is
Barbara Bowman Wilson says, whenever I pay off my cards, I always pay with cash.
Thank you, Miss Barbara. Don't know you, don't see you, but I'm so grateful you do that because if you're able to see this is what I'm spending, this is what I have currently, can I pay it off? If so, good. If I can't, I might need to do a little dance and say, what am I currently doing with that card?
Yeah.
What can I do? Is this card, here's the product marketer in me. Or is this card fit your lifestyle and how you're leveraging it to funnel your goals?
Mhm.
Um, so with banks, they'll have all this plethora of credit cards and different types of points and all this good and bells and whistles, and people are now complaining about the annual fees for some of them, but that's another for another day. But they'll have all this plethora of things for you. If you're noticing that you have a card that is old and doesn't really serve you, and the late fees and the annual fees is not what they need to be, call them people and say, hey, what can I do differently? It's about you need to be more loyal to your wallet than to the whole economy and to these credit card companies.
Okay. So let's talk about that for a second. If you couldn't call the credit card company, the bank, or whoever you got your card from,
Please do.
what can you say to them to if you're having trouble making those large
Mm.
payments? Say you've got, I don't know how much people's credit
Right.
card bills may be, but let's just say,
I'm
so
so
let's
glad.
just assume $300. I don't know. That seems like a random number. But I don't know.
So that's so that's like right on key. I'm so glad you asked this. So the thing is, if you are noticing that things are getting a little out of hand, look to see if you have what is your APR, and notice to see what other products they currently have. The APR might be a little bit better than what you're currently having, and say, hey, I've been with this company for da 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 da. I'm trying to make sure that I have a good relationship with this company. And this
Yeah.
is things that I'm noticing is not really meshing when it comes to the APR.
Mhm.
I have some late payment fees. If you have late payment fees or anything like that that you're noticing that are on there, call and have them removed at least once a year. Just have them to see what they can do. Also, call to see if they can lower your APR. I know everybody's happy about the increase of the credit limit, but see if they can lower that APR. They can lower the APR in instances if you've been a good loyal person, or if
Mhm.
you're noticing that you're going through a tough time, but you still want to keep that relationship good.
I
Another
did not know that you could do that. Okay.
like I love to say, pay them people, call them people. So
Mhm.
you also can call them in this instance, and I am so glad you asked this. A lot of people do not know that a lot of these credit card companies now, under law, have to have hardship programs. Meaning, if you're going through a hard time and you can't pay your credit card before it goes to collections and get you a lawsuit, that you can see if they have a hardship program. The thing that I would tell people about the hardship program is to take a step back to look what they currently are using that card for. If
Mhm.
they have any goals coming up, like they want to save for something, buy a house, buy a car, or anything like that, finance anything,
Mhm.
very mindful of this, because whenever you do go into the hardship program, be mindful of the terms and the conditions. The terms is saying I'm going to lower, they're either going to cut off the card, period. You still have access to it, or they're going to change or modify how you're able to utilize that card. They're going to actually take and change the APR, and they're going to actually move down your payment amount to allow you to technically settle and make sure that you're staying in good graces. At the end of that hardship program, more than likely they're going to bump you back up to where you were, or find you even a better product. The reason why I am saying I'm glad that you asked about hardship programs is the amount of people that I see on Reddit, that I see on X, that I see on Facebook that are going through lawsuits with credit card companies is unreal.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I have a feeling that it's going to be like a tsunami over the time. Because why? People are using credit cards to fund their lives in one way or other, rather it's due to aesthetics or due to their
Mhm.
accounts in deficit. And
Yeah.
they're noticing they can't keep up, and they're going to go to collections and get sued. But if you look to see if you have if they have hardship programs, learn
Mhm.
about the terms and conditions, see how it fits within your budget and goals, and then see where that flows. So I am so glad that you asked me about that, because right, I've been preaching about that in blog
Mhm.
posts and stuff. Like, please get these hardship programs.
Yeah, because I've seen some articles in a couple places, and I thought, well, you don't hear a lot about it, or at least I haven't. And I just happened to be and probably popped up on my Google feed or something, and I was like, that's interesting. I didn't know that such a thing existed. So thank you for breaking that down for us. Um, so going back to, let me get back to my questions, and don't forget, chat, y'all can ask whatever you want. What are some of the biggest mistakes that people make when they are like, I'm going to pay off this credit card debt? I'm locked and loaded, but also, how can they do it? Or what mistakes are they making if they have multiple cards?
The mistakes that they're making is the understanding the data, what you are paying towards that card every month, or the cards, the portfolio of cards per se every month. How does it actually fit within your budget, and what kind of payoff method is working for you? Is it the snowball, meaning you starting with the small amount and rolling it up? I know
Mhm.
everybody loves to talk about this guy that starts with a D and his last name starts with an R, but not going to go there. Then you have the avalanche method, meaning you're doing the reverse of it all. You're eating that frog and you're going backwards and picking the big one and coming and paying it down. The thing that I think that people do is overestimate. They're
Ah.
going back to the forecasting of it all. People based upon I think or I guess versus looking at the data and saying this is the facts of it all. I'm going to start with one payment. I'm going to start with one credit card and do this, and then I'm going to add on. Whenever
Mhm.
you're learning that you can be firm in your goals or your intentions, but flexible in your methods, that you can do that. A method that I talked about, not to say snowball and avalanche doesn't work, is that I find people asking this question: should I be paying off credit card debt, or should I be saving? And I have this thing called 80/20. Most people know that comes from some black movies. It's like, hey, no, I'm giving 80%, but you're taking 80% of that extra money that you're doing do have, with this bonus, or you're calling subscriptions and getting savings from that, taking 80% of that and saying, "Hey, I want to pay down debt," and then taking 20% of that extra cash and putting into a high yield savings account and saving your behind down the line. The thing when
Mhm.
it comes to understanding where you are with the facts, but finding out the systems and methods to what works for you now and work for you later, because
Mhm.
life is going to happen. It's going to happen
Right.
regardless of what we do. But I think it's about saying, hey, this is the numbers that I have. This is what I'm going to try at first. And then I'm going to say, if it's not working in 30 to 60 days, we're going to go back and rewrite the ship before we wreck ourselves.
Mhm.
So that's what
Yeah.
the people overestimate, but undervaluate what they can do within their time. They have grand goals, but sometimes you have to bring it down bit by bit until you achieve all of it, and be flexible with it.
Okay. Let's see. We have a question in the chat. Stephanie Vanderhall. Any relation there?
Maybe.
I see a few Vanderhalls in the chat.
They're always there. I appreciate them. What's up, sister?
Okay, she wants to know. So, how do I decide which card offer to accept? Because I'm getting 3 offers a week. I can't. Listen. I'm there too. Like you, every. It seems like every day or every other day there's a credit card offer. How do
Yes.
we know? What should we? Okay, besides shredding it, what should we do?
Shred. What I would tell you to do, I wish I had one right now because I usually have hers that she brings me the show, is that we flip it on the back. You're going to look at the terms and the conditions. So the terms will usually tell you you're going to have this APR for 18 months, and then it's going to, the APR is going to go to this or it's going to go to that. I want you to be mindful of that after the fact. After that honeymoon phase, what
Mhm.
is going to happen? If that APR is beyond far of what you're paying right now,
Yeah,
don't do it, Miss Sophia. Don't do it. I'm a comedian. Don't do it. But
I
also
love it.
mindful of the fee that it could come with. A
Mhm.
lot of these credit card companies is being sneaky and not really telling people, hey, you might have a fee. It's a fee for this, it's a fee for that. You have
Yeah.
to know what you're currently doing and what you currently have, and then comparing to say, after that 0% APR ends on this date, does the APR match or go above or even lower than what I'm currently doing? If it's going to benefit you, do it. But the thing is, I want you to say, I need to pay this transfer over before that zero APR honeymoon ends. If you
Mhm.
cannot do that within the budget that income and the funds and everything that you're doing right now, don't do it. So yeah,
Wow.
compare to where you are now and what they offer in the terms and conditions and determine if that's going to go. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of good offers coming from the credit unions right now. Credit
Yeah.
unions really stepping it up, and I'm not mad. I usually
Mhm.
to go to credit unions for anything, for mostly when it comes to bank products. Better
Yeah.
rates.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I don't know, forgive me, I don't know if these are still around, but you know how there was there's the secured card and
They are.
okay, can we talk about that? Because I
They,
remember after I finally got that monkey off my back after college, I was like, I got to build my credit. So I went with the
Mhm,
secured card
mhm,
and it had a limit, like it was low because this was
mhm.
back in the dark ages. It was like 250. But can you talk about like that? Because it was just like I did it to build credit, and it was kind
Perfect.
of in case of an emergency.
Mhm. I still echo that they are for that.
Okay,
They're
okay,
good credit card or good credit builders. Besides doing the points play, but secure credit cards is that I'm putting my money up to say I'm going to be a good steward of this amount of money on
hmm
your credit product for this amount of time. And then as you're using it and putting it back and cycling it up, you're going to show that good stewardship to that company. Eventually, probably in not even 6 months, now how it seems, they're gonna be like, you know what, friend, you're doing good. Here's an
hmm
unsecured card. A
yep,
secured card shows that, hey, I'm going to do this or and be more mindful of my money and to start building this relationship. Unsecured cards are great, but if you don't have the discipline or the dollars or the credit right now, go ahead and look into secured cards.
hmm
I
What's
still love
what do they still do? Like you pick your amount, or how do you know how that works?
depends on the creditor.
Okay,
Hmm. Sometimes you can pick your amount. They used to have them really for also for gas cards too.
really? No,
Mhm.
no, don't put ideas in my head.
No, but they are good. They are good, especially if someone has come out and seen a lot of people in Facebook groups saying, "Hey, I've been unemployed for a long time right now." We know that's inevitable the case. I
Yeah.
credit. What are some good ways? That's usually the first thing that I suggest is that they look to secure credit cards, look to see if they can talk to their credit card company to say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," or look to see what other options that are. But secure credit cards is what I would usually tell people to do.
Okay. Now, is it a good idea? Well, you mentioned the balance transfer, but what about a debt consolidation loan to help pay that balance down?
Oh, I'm so glad that you said this for multiple reasons, than more than I can say. The reason I want you to be very mindful if you do use them, please look at the what terms
And
and
conditions. Everybody in the chat say it. Terms and conditions.
terms and conditions. Terms and conditions. I know I keep making fun of it, but they really will tell you what the relationship is going to be like, regardless if you're good or you're not so good. If you're tangling, you're not dancing the right way. This is what's going to happen. The music's going to
Yeah.
cut off. So, but when it comes to debt consolidation, I technically want to add and part this with bankruptcy. It's a
Okay,
reason
I
why.
was about to ask that too.
Don't
Okay.
worry, I felt where you were going. So when it comes to utilizing bankruptcy as a warrant means to restart, I'm not even going to tell you not to do it because other people do it. Use that as you may. But when it comes to debt consolidation or anything like that, look to see what what are your goals?
Hmm.
Are your goals for right now and for down the line? Because when you do debt consolidation, that's going to wreck your credit. It's going to help you with payments depending on, but that's going to wreck your credit for at least a little spell, not long. But I want you to say, learn to see what within the terms and conditions, what are they promising? What
Hmm.
is their track record? What is their fees? As well as the promise for pay to if you're getting that loan, what is the payment back for it? What is the APR? And anything like that. They can be good if the terms and conditions are understood and you don't have any goals that you want to try to get anything or do anything for a while, that instead of focusing on that debt that you have, go for it. Just stay on them about what are they doing, what are they not doing, and are if anything. If you have the debt consolidation, meaning they're just going to give you a check and then yeah. But if they're going to be actually negotiating debt on your behalf, be
Hmm.
very mindful of what they're promising, how much they can promise, what are they doing, as well as the fees. That's a lot of times that people don't talk about is that they usually will make it dump your credit to make it look like you're in bad, worse shape than you are. And
No.
yeah,
Okay. So what about a personal loan to cover that debt?
personal loan. Okay, I had this client. Is there anything in here? I had the client that looked to get personal loans. I'm not against them. Again, I'm going to say the same thing. Look at the
Mhm.
terms and conditions.
Mhm.
Look at the APR. And
Yeah.
look in this. I'm going to say this. Some personal loans can be very predatory. Meaning you
Yes.
think you're going to this is probably like 35%, 350%, depending on where you go, which can make you a show and compound even longer. So you think you buy borrowing $1,000, it ends up being almost $10,000 by the time you pay it back.
Hmm.
So just be very mindful. I'm not against them, but just if you do get them, look at the terms and conditions, but also look at your own personal terms and conditions. Meaning, what is my intention with this money? How am I going to implement it within this time span that I have? Does it work? Yes, no, maybe so. And then determine what to do. Maybe you have to find another product to find.
Hmm.
So just being mindful because a lot of these, if they're not certain institutions or they're like off the oh I saw this you call this number, don't do look to see what if they're credible companies and they're going to have to lay out the term and conditions and you're able to see what the APR is going to be and the fees if you do anything or you do this or whatever and then determine and looking to make it to understand the facts to see what the function should be and how you should flow.
You are getting us together. I'm telling you, terms and conditions. If I don't remember nothing else, I'm gonna remember terms and conditions and the APR.
Those are terms and conditions because when it comes to your own personal money goals, what are your own personal terms and conditions? Say, for
Yeah.
instance, you want to start budgeting better. What are you currently doing? How
Mm.
are you currently doing? Are you saying this is the budget that I have, and are you sticking to those conditions to say this is what I have to do for the month? If not, you're gonna have to go back and say this ain't gonna work. I have to do something different. So
Well,
while it's funny,
yeah.
it's the money, but it's very practical when it comes to you getting back on track with your money goals.
Well, let's talk about budget. What is that first step to creating a budget that is actually going to work for your lifestyle? Because, like you said, like we were talking earlier, people are getting laid off, or, or bills are piling up. Maybe they have some, since this is blackdoctor.org, maybe there's like some medical stuff going on and those medical bills are piling up. And actually, let me pause that for 1 second because while I'm thinking about medical care credit, can we talk about care credit?
You go there. That's why I was just like, come on.
Yep.
The terms and conditions that come with fair credit. They look like to be a good, viable situation whenever you need them, but please be mindful of the APR and then how is it going to compound. If you know that you're going to have 0% APR, I sound like I used to do. voiceovers, 0% APR with this career credit for this amount, and it's going to be you. If you don't pay it off by 18 months, 12 months, and you at 11 and a half months or 17 and a half months, and you're not going to pay it off. If you know that within the funds that you have right now, that don't make sense for you, the same way you do with a credit transfer or a balance transfer, if that's not going to work, don't work that way. Be mindful of it, and then also be mindful of the company that you're using, because all care credit doesn't really care about your credit or your position, because they're out to get their money.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They're
And I
out.
will say, because I have used Care Credit before,
I'm
that
not gonna
until I paid attention to the terms and conditions, and I just agreed to the, when they were like, do you want I forgot what it's called. Basically, if you are without your job or there's some issue, that I didn't realize that every single month they were going to be charging me $124 because they
that
didn't
small
tell
print.
me that.
That small print could become the pain later on.
It does. It does.
Disclaimers for at a certain bank here in Charlotte that is blue, not red. That
Mm-hmm.
I do the disclaimers for them. I know what I'm saying. Please read that small print, because it can either be a pain or it can help you position that product better. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. So back to the budget. How can we create? What's the first step in creating a budget? I know you said we have to be really familiar with what our own terms and conditions are. So how do we get clear on that? And then what do we do to start putting this budget together?
It's one thing that I love to say now, and I also feel like I say it on almost all of my content, is audit your wallet. Meaning you have to pull your bank statements and your credit card statements to look at what budget you think you have, to see, are
Mm-hmm.
you really matching that energy? Is it a vibe, or you're really matching the value of what your life costs? When I say audit your wallet, I want you to go pull. I'm not going to tell you to do 3 to 6 months, because things have changed. We're going to say probably within the last 2 months, to see what my bank and my credit card statements are saying. Then look to see what budget do you have. If you're using the app, or you're using your notes app or whatever, or you're using the back of an envelope. I'm country, so I
Me
understand.
too. Don't worry. Me too. Oh, I got an envelope right here.
If you're using that, I want you to say, I want you beforehand, before you go do an audit of your wallet, go and just jot down. If you don't have a formalized budget, jot down what you pay every month for everything.
Okay.
Whenever you write that down, you're just doing a brain dump or a bank dump of what you think you spend, the feeling of what you think you spend. That audit of your wallet, of looking the last 2 months to say my bank and my credit card statements match that energy to what you just wrote. Then you're going to be noticing if you really need to do a budget, are you all right, that you're aligned. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're noticing that a lot of people that come to me to do their budgets, the math don't math. That's math don't math. But whenever you're doing that, you're comparing the vibe to the value of what's going on, and you're not forecasting on feelings and guesstimation, but actually data to say every month this is what I typically spend, or an outline of my utilities, key things, and then going to see how much outside costs me. Meaning, if you
Mm-hmm.
want to go out for brunch, if you want to sit in the house and order Amazon and stuff, and you have your credit card stored on your phone or your laptop, I want you to still know how much that is. The way that I'm saying expenses and experiences, you have your bills, you have your expenses to cost your life, but then you have your experiences, your shopping and things like that, or whatever, going traveling, you want to go to Beyonce. I'm not going to be one to tell you not to do it. I just want you to have a formalized number to say, on the month, this is what I spend to go outside. This is what I spend to be inside. I'm just keeping it honest. But then
Mm-hmm.
you're able to walk back with those numbers and say, okay, I know that 50, 30, 20 is so popular right now. I know that zero-based budgeting is a good one. But what is the reality versus the ratio that I am doing on the budget?
Yeah.
Whenever you figure out these are my key numbers, run that play for. I'm not, when I say run the play, I'm not talking about scamming. Run the play on what this budget does. Check in to see if this actually okay. I've came to the realization this is the number. I'm going to run it for about a month, or a month and a half, 2 months. And then I want you to check to see if you're aligning. Another thing I want to add in there, and I'm glad that you're talking about this. A lot of people don't know what their cash flow looks like every month. And you're probably like, what the heck she mean by that? That is when
Yeah.
you
What,
get
what,
paid,
what do you mean by that?
you get paid till you get to the end of the last day of the month. What is your high tide and your low tide to when it comes to your expenses, your budget, your cash flow,
Mm,
and
okay.
then when does it actually run low? When people make a budget, they only make it up the first of the month. Yeah, that's it. But by the end of the month,
Mhm,
like, where the heck did it go? Because you can't measure what you don't track. Meaning, if you set the budget at the beginning of the month based
mhm,
on your feelings, not looking back at what you did the month before the line, that if you just make the budget, but you only check your checking account when your check is coming in or you getting ready to check out, how can you measure if that budget is actually working?
ooh, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So that's what I would tell people to do is to do a brain dump or a bank dump of what they're currently doing, do an audit of their wallet to see what's going on and what ratio or reality they need to have, understanding whether they're high tides and their low tides. And then you might have to go back a couple of times to say, okay, this is not working, this is going to work. This is a real number, this is not. But then also checking in and doing money dates at least every 2 weeks. That allows you to know, okay, by the end of the month, this is gonna look like it's gonna have to be next check, or
Mhm,
it allows you to be intentional with the income that you have. So yeah.
okay. Okay. So what about,
Uh-oh.
stuff pops up during that month after you made this budget. Stuff pops up, whether it's a dentist visit, something with the car, your child break their arm, whatever it is. So you got to figure out, where am I going to get this extra money? Then what? What do we do then?
The fact that you just asked me, and I just talked about this recently, is sinking funds. We hear about emergency funds where you're saving for emergency. Emergency could be being laid off. It could be if your car gets stuck or whatever. That's something that you're saving towards. You already heard about 3 to 6 months. I'm going to tell you to save a month of expenses in your emergency fund. But when it comes to a sinking fund, I want you to write down all the things that could happen. You're being your own planner right now. So saying, okay, I got children, so the children, certain things happen, and this is what I usually think. This is what I usually spend when
Mhm,
something happens. Okay, I have that amount. Then I want, like, if I need to go to the grocery store and I don't have enough or anything like that happens, what you're taking a itemized list of the what coulds and actually adding it into a sinking fund or a savings account for that. It's designated
okay.
for it. So you can have a generalized sinking fund if you don't want to get that thorough, that deep, or whatever, but it
Mhm,
will allow you to say, I have $10 every paycheck, $5 every paycheck that goes over to the high yield savings account. I love to talk about Ally. I am not sponsored by Ally, but they have that where you have an emergency fund in a high yield savings account, but you can open up a sinking fund to say this in case your funds get sunk by
oh,
things happening.
okay.
I think I saw where you go pay your bills for the month and then you run out of toilet tissue or something at the house. I have
Mhm,
a sinking fund for when I have to run to a big box store and buy my household stuff.
mhm,
Have a sinking fund for just generalized, but I also earmark it for in case something happens. So it's
okay.
about being your own planner and analyzing what happens and how much it would cost, and then just planning ahead. Now, if you have to, oh, I might shoot myself in the foot saying this. If you have to do the whole notion of robbing Peter to pay Paul, go back to the what terms and conditions.
Mhm.
You have to
Terms and
rob Peter
conditions.
to get paid Paul, but either or, don't have it all. What is going to be that thing? Okay, I did this. So how long am I going to take to pay myself back or to revert back to where I was? And you
Mhm,
have to stay firm to yourself. This is your money. This is your wholeness. This is how you're going to operate. But if you have to rob Peter to pay Paul because either you or neither of them will have it all, what is your payback plan to get that back on track? Life happens. I'm not going to tell you, oh, don't use a credit card. I would not be the person I am today if I would not tell you to do that.
right.
Not the typical person. The thing is, when you look at your terms and conditions and you're saying, okay, if I have to do this, this is how I'm going to write the ship, and you're going to stick with it. But that's what I would say.
Okay. Y'all, we got a few more minutes. So if you have a question, you better get it in now. So you mentioned how we could create this sinking fund. How can we just have some savings? Like, whether we call it our emergency fund, or we just saving up for a house, or saving up for Beyonce tickets, or whatever it is. Okay. Okay.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you to go to Beyonce because I want people to experience certain things. If you know Beyonce Act 3 is not probably coming out for another 9 months or 10 months or so, how much would it cost to have gone to Beyonce? Revert that and re-engineer that backwards to say, this is how much it costs, this is how long I have. okay, in my paycheck, I can save 10 to 15, $100 or $200 and move that over into a high yield savings account and save for it. I'm not going to tell you not to go, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm trying to go. So the person that went to be on the run out of town. But that's the thing I would tell you is to, okay, I'm glad you asked that to go best stay up on track. ADHD is getting away with me.
That's okay.
So if you're saying I can't save any money,
Hmm.
I've seen it. I heard people say it. Go and do this thing when I just told you to do. Audit your wallet. List out all the bills that you have. Go use Rocket Money and have it pull all of the things that you pay for that you might not know that you pay for and can cancel it and get that money back. But I want you to call those people,
Hmm.
Spectrum, uh, car insurance, anything like that, and negotiate saying, hey, this is what I've been typically spending. Do we have any promotions? Do we have anything that I can do? Or can I just maybe lower the bill? I've been with you for this amount of time. I've been paying on time. Can I save some money? Even if you're calling your cell phone company, I need to do that. But
I
what
was like, I'm sitting here like Spectrum. Yes, I gotta call them as soon as we are
also
done.
such an interesting beast, man. But whatever you save for negotiating your bills, you save. So you're already paying that amount of money every month. So if I'm saving from that amount of money, that can go into a high yield savings account or a regular savings account. The thing I would tell you to do is to separate the regular savings and the high yield savings. Why? Because
Mhm.
whenever you see, oh, I got $100 in there, move it over. I got more savings in my checking or whatever Kevin Hart said. Whenever you see it in your regular savings account, that's more accessible. High yield savings account is going to take you about 24 hours or 48 hours for that money to move.
What do you think about a money market account? Because I put money in a money market account
Thank
because
you.
it's too difficult to get out.
Out of
Because
sight,
I know me.
it's not really out of sight, out of mind, but out of sight, out of my hands. I love money market accounts because them as well as high yield savings account is going to pay you more than a regular savings account. Please, people, do not put the bulk of your savings in a regular savings account. Why? It only gives you 0.001% or a half of a penny every quarter for what you save. But compared to a money market account as well as a high yield savings account, you right now you're seeing between 3 to maybe 5%.
Hmm.
You're able to have that money. Another thing, if you have extra cash that you don't need to touch, you look to a CD account. It's gonna be locked up. You can't touch it. You're gonna get hit. Why?
Right.
If you do try to get that money before the maturity date hits. But I love money market accounts and I love high yield savings accounts. If you've been following me long enough, you know I am the high yield savings account. Put your money there type person because I want you to get paid more while you're saving more. Start
Mhm.
with even $5, $10. Move that
Mhm.
money up there. It's a bill that you're paying for your future self to either save you or give you savings to go towards your goal, like paying a down payment for a car, a house, or even a trip. Start planning your trips for next summer. Maybe you didn't get to go nowhere this summer. Make a
Yeah.
single year for $5 and save for next summer.
Whew, you're gonna have to come back because we have gone through. I didn't even get to all my questions,
You
and I
sure
know people
did.
probably have questions. But so for those that are, let's just give some people some hope because they could be feeling overwhelmed after everything we've discussed. So,
Mhm.
what's one thing you would tell them to start doing today?
Give yourself grace. Start with one small goal when it comes to your money and stay with it and then work your way to the next thing. The
Mhm.
thing that we see a lot of times is saying, oh, people say 500, invested 500, did all this. And you're like, I budget don't budge. I can't do that.
Right.
You break that down to, like my pastor said, the simplest of compound and fit within what you can do now. That's the reason why I've been so adamant about going through your budget. You got $5 left. What does $5 experience give you? I want you to
Hmm.
take it. This is what I'm going to go with. Take a list of write down everything you love to do. Then add within it how much does it cost. So whenever you have that list of high tide, low tide, medium tide, roll tide, that whenever you do have extra money after you get paid and paid everybody, that you're able to say, I only got this amount, I only got $25. So what in my list do I have that costs $25 that I could do or $10? If you don't feel like doing anything on that list, take whatever you have left over, move it to a high yield savings account and save for the next month or the next paycheck. It's
Yeah.
about budgeting yourself within your budget, no matter if it's $5, even if it's free, sit in the garage. I do it all the time.
Mhm.
And I have so that's what I'm telling you to do is to find pockets of what you can do and give yourself grace to start with the small things and build up and let it compound.
Nadia, you have schooled us today, and I want to thank you so much. But I got to ask you one more question. One more question. I
Question.
ask everybody this, but what feeds your soul?
What I'm doing just now, just helping people,
Yeah.
because oftentimes I think this is the reason why. Yeah, it is the reason why I got into it, because when I worked in financial services, I didn't have any money, and I learned about money working with money. Ain't that crazy? But anyway, but just seeing how marketing was marketing to certain people who are unbanked or not really thought about when it comes to being affluent.
Hmm.
And we went through the recession. Let me see what recessions ago that was, but the 2008 recession,
Yes.
and I was unemployed for about 3 years. I went from making $10.71 an hour to about $50 an hour. And I was like, ooh. But when I went through that experience and then moved on to a job working in financial services again, I was able to say, hey, I don't want people that look like me to experience that when it comes to their money. That
Yeah.
whenever you look at a financial person, you look at a financial planner or whoever advisor and say, I can't work with them because I don't have $500,000 in assets.
Hmm.
I want people to have $500 in a emergency fund. That is the reason why. That is the reason why I am the I am and what I am building, and what lights me up.
Oh, I love that. So I'm sure people are going to want some help with their budget.
Mhm.
So how can they reach out to you?
They can go to my website, thebrandsandbands.com. Hash like the little hat. Which way is it? Work with Nadia, or you can find me here on Facebook under my name, or anywhere else that you will see NV Knows, or just search my name. I usually will pop up like a genie, and you can just send me a DM. I can answer your question right there, or then we can work together with budgeting. You can ask me anything, or even financial planning, regardless if it's one time or retainer service.
Perfect. Well,
Mhm.
Nadia, thank you again for coming on and sharing your knowledge. You're going to have to come back because
I will.
I know I have a ton more questions, and I'm sure our audience does. For everybody else, for more information on paying down debt and everything we talked about, working on your financial health and wellness that way, head over to blackdoctor.org. There's a lot of articles over there.
It is.
And coming up next week on Celebration, what would you do if you got the call that you could save someone's life? I am so excited about this guest. He is a Florida news anchor and my friend. He got that call and he's going to talk about how his stem cell donation gave a man with leukemia a second chance at life. So you want to make sure you come back next Wednesday at 7 o'clock for that story. So I hope you, Nadia, and everybody in the chat, thank you, co host. Have a soul filled rest of the week.
Thank you for having me.